everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today. We're your boys. We always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And today, folks, we're going to be talking about how Vladimir Guerrero Jr. could be lost in the sauce right now, folks. Like, seriously, he recently came out and spoke about his impending free agency again. This was not supposed to be a distraction. It is March 20th right now, and I can tell you very clearly, it is a distraction. We're going to talk about what it was that he said, and let me tell you, it is pretty wild, so you want to stay tuned to the end of this video because there's lots of stuff that he said, and we're going to get into all of it. So we're going to talk about that, break down what it means for the Toronto Blue Jays, and then just overall, like, are we ever going to get through this season without having to talk about this? Because I'll be honest, I am very fatigued of this topic at this point. Before we get into it, though, please make sure to hit that like, smash the subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts down below. Now, let's start this whole thing off by just saying it was only a year ago where Vladimir Guerrero Jr. probably wasn't even sniffing $400 million.
Not even sniffing.
You know what I mean?
We were like, oh, maybe we'll give him 200.
Yeah. Only 1 year ago. Now he goes on. He has a great season, 940 OPS, right? Like, you know, incredible across the board. And okay, the price rises, but not as much as what he is saying that it will rise to.
Yeah. Now, he came out in this interview. Granted, I do want to preface this. The interview was 2 weeks ago, but it's surfacing now. So maybe he's learned his lesson. Maybe he's realized he's got to stop being a distraction or whatever. But this was a 2 week ago thing that is now coming out. But it's a distraction nonetheless. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. came out here and he gave his price range and what he thinks he can actually get this season. If he has an MVP caliber season, he believes he'll be in the $700 million price range if he puts up an MVP caliber season. That's the first quote here. The second quote, which I think baffled me, is, if I have a bad year, now we got to define what bad year is in just in a moment, but if he has a bad year, I see my floor at $500 million, which is what the Blue Jays offered him. And I guess from Vladdy's perspective, if you saw the Blue Jays offering you your floor, you wouldn't take your floor. But let's really break this down right now. Let's start with the first half, the positive, before we get into the floor. If he has an MVP caliber season, do you think that he will be in the $700 million price range? What would he have to do in that MVP caliber season to get him to that price range?
Yeah, it would be a lot, everybody. Adam and I were speaking about this just prior to recording, and effectively, we kind of came to the, I guess, the landing point of you need to have a Barry Bonds type of Aaron Judge 62 MVP or 62 home runs, MVP year. Like, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for an OPS that is like 1.1 something.
1.15, 1.12.
You know, like 60 bombs, a 330 batting average. Like, it's got to be that crazy. And you know what? If it is that insane, all right, dude. Like, you know what? You're young enough, and you know, at that point, you might actually have the potential to be the next Barry Bonds, and somebody would obviously pay you for that. But that's the only way that I ever see you as a poor defensive first baseman getting $700 million. If you show to everybody that your bat is just that much better than everyone else, which at this point, it hasn't been. We have the active OPS leaders right here. And Guerrero, again, I love you, dude. I think you're an amazing baseball player. But, you know, you're not a $700 million guy because you're, you know, 12th right now in active OPS. And the guys trailing behind him, it's all very close, folks. We're talking within like a point of each other. Whereas when you go to the top of the list, like Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani, they are significantly higher than Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Almost 100 points.
Almost 100 points, right? Whereas, you know, somebody like a Pete Alonso, albeit a lot older, is only like 10 points removed from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So it's a lot closer for Vladdy. Point being, I don't see him getting paid $700 million.
Well, yeah, like what is $700 million per year, right? I mean, he wants 14 years, so that's $50 million per year. Okay, so you want to get paid literally, again, to just double down on this point, you want to get paid like Juan Soto, you know, AAV $51 million, Shohei Ohtani $70 million. Like, you literally want to get paid like that. And I guess if he has an OPS of 1.2 1.2 or 1.3 this season. Maybe it climbs up to the 900, career OPS, and now you're worth that money. But and that's the thing. The $700 million is he's young too, so there's a big factor to that. But that's what I'm really looking at is how much am I giving you right now per year? So yeah, if he has that season, sure. Okay, you can have an argument where you can be paid that money. However, the second part of the quote,
and I think this is the crazier part.
This is the crazier part where you think that if you have a bad year, my floor is $500 million. Well, what is a bad year for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? We've seen it in the past. I mean, his bad years are he has a high 700, a low 800 OPS that would drag down all of his OPS numbers. Everything he would drag down to the lower of the 800 career OPS mark. If he has a bad year, he thinks he's worth $500 million. Well, we broke that down too as well. What is $500 million? That's what, $36 million per year AAV? Okay, now you think on your bad year with a low OPS, a lot lower than all these active leaders right here, is going to get you in the same contract range as Mike Trout when he first initially signed?
Yeah.
I don't think so, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is where, this goes back to the title. This is where we think, like, you're kind of losing sight of like who you truly are. And I got to give him a lot of credit here. He is really betting on himself. He really does think that he's going to hit a huge, MVP numbers this season. And if you do that, all the credit to you. You really proved and stuck it in our faces. But damn, dude, if you think your floor is $500 million right now, I think you've lost it.
Well, I just think that he's misinformed, honestly. Like, I don't like your floor, like whoever is giving you advice and saying that your floor is $500 million. I don't know where they're getting their numbers from because, yeah, again, like you go back to that 2023 year where the guy did have a 788 OPS. You're talking about 1.8 WAR. And you guys know on this channel, I'm not a huge WAR guy. Like, I think that there's just so many discrepancies with how it records things and everything like that. But I know that some people who write the paychecks are WAR guys. And they're going to look at 1.8 WAR and go, am I going to give $500 million to somebody who's going to give me, 2 extra wins a season? Or could I just pay, I don't know, $20 million to this other 2 WAR guy who will be on free agency? So, yeah, a down year. If Guerrero has a down year, I could see his price tag like quite literally dropping all the way back down to that $300 million range, right? Like getting back down, maybe even a little bit below that because of the position that he plays. $500 million, like to get $500 million, I think you got to do kind of the career averages that we've seen from you. You got to have a good season. That is not just going to be given to you. And clearly, if that's the advice he's been giving, of course they haven't come to an agreement because, like, we just can't. We can't work with you when you're thinking that way.
Yeah, Vladdy, we were thinking this whole time when the Blue Jays, or when Vladdy was asking the Blue Jays for just under $600 million, like a little bit shy of that, between the $550 and the $600 million range. We were thinking, oh, that was him.
That's like your
ceiling. That was him asking for his ceiling, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. No, that was him asking for what he thought was a little bit less than the middle point, and I could see from his perspective, I'm being totally fair right now. If I think my ceiling's 700, and I'm only asking for 785 or 585 right now, so I completely get it. But look, I mean, the season's going to play out, and it's going to kind of suck that when we watch this season, if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is popping the hell off and having that MVP season, well, I mean, the Blue Jays are probably doing pretty damn good.
Wow.
But it's a double-edged sword, and we're going to get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm going to cheer him on for success, and then just, know that in the back of my head, well, what does this mean for free agency? Maybe not great things for the Toronto Blue Jays. So that's the first thing that he said, and I just think that was completely, it's just ridiculous. You guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about what he is saying monetarily speaking? The second thing that he said, and you just didn't need to say it, dude.
Didn't need to say
it was that he's going to speak to every team, including the New York Yankees. Now, this is in stark contrast to what it was that he said in years prior. He's come out afterwards and said, oh, actually, no, I would go to the Yankees, everything like that. But quite literally, like 2 years ago, he said he would never go to the Yankees, and he's never going to change his mind from that. Now we are literally watching him with a Blue Jays logo in the background.
That's the most disrespectful thing for me.
At the spring training facility saying, no, actually, I am 100% open to every team and going to be talking to the Yankees. So,
hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only, must be 19 years older to participate, and guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Look, it's not a great look at all, and the fact is here, like, if you watch the interview, just this one little clip, maybe we're taking the clip out of context, but you know, again, it's Spanish speaking, so I don't really understand what he's saying, but he jolts in and makes sure that the Yankees were included in the guys that he would talk to in free agency. Now, again, like I said off the top, Keegan Masson just said that this interview was recorded nearly 2 weeks ago, and he's still going to give Vladdy a bit of leeway for now, because he thinks that the past week has been a lesson learning thing for him, and I hope so too, because, buddy, like we said, I mean, I made a video room about it. We've been talking about it on podcasts the entire week. Like, you didn't want this to become a distraction. You certainly aren't helping your cause. This is the most distracting thing. And honestly, I've loved Vladdy my entire life being a Blue Jay fan. I've watched him before he debuted for the Toronto Blue Jays, and I love this kid. This is I can say honestly, the most resentment I've had towards Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I have. Every time I see a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. interview or a comment about him being a free agent and talking to their teams and his price tag, it's honestly a big slap in the face as a Blue Jays fan, and I really hope that he's learned his lesson, and I hope that he can put this noise behind him if he really doesn't want it to be a distraction.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, we can't have this anymore because the season is in, what, 8 days from now? 7 days?
7 days.
Like, we're right there, everybody, and like, to hear that, you know, you're talking about thinking about talking to the Yankees and thinking that your floor is 500. I mean, if I was another guy in that clubhouse listening to all this, I'd be like, what is going on right now, dude? Like, we're trying to prepare for the season right now, and you know, this guy's taking interviews in the middle of our fucking spring training facility, talking about, you know, the Yankees and his money. So listen, we're hoping that this is the end of it, everybody. I got a feeling that it's not.
No, I got a feeling that it's not, and here we are.
But you guys let us know in the comments down below, what do you think about all of this? Is 500 actually the floor for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and we're the ones that are making nonsense right now? You guys let us know down below.
Yeah, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to Blue Jays Today, $4 a month to become a YouTube member. Shout out and thank you to all of our YouTube members. You guys are absolutely
awesome. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and as always, go Jays go!